Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all having an amazing day. I managed to get back outside today, and if you saw at the beginning of the video, I'm actually near a creek that's got a little mini waterfall going. You might be able to hear that in the background as I'm talking. And the birds were singing here a few minutes ago. I guess they got quiet once I started talking to my camera. I wanted to kind of dive into today's subject. If you saw the title, Death Does Not Wait for Us to Be Ready, and What Are You Waiting For? And I'm going to dive into a bit of a personal story from my past that really shaped me as a person and kind of started to wake me up to this at a young age. Years ago, I had an older brother, just a couple years older than me, and he passed away young. He had an autoimmune disease that was still to this day not very well known, but it was characterized by affecting the muscles. The immune system was basically fighting against the body, and had rashes and other things that were also characterized with it. It was a very extreme form of disease called dermatomyositis, and there were side effects with it as well. But it was not a mild case of it, which people can, oftentimes survive and get through life with. It was a very extreme case. He went through about 6 years of slowly losing his mobility, going on to different types of treatments and drugs that they were trying to use at the time, whatever they could to try and combat what was happening to his body and try to give him a fighting chance to live. And over time, he was reduced to a point to where he had to use a cane, which, if you can imagine a young kid, preteen, having to use a cane, and then a walker, and then eventually a wheelchair, and then eventually a powered wheelchair because he couldn't just use a regular wheelchair anymore, and adjusting everything in the family home to become essentially like a hospital room. We got a hospital bed of sorts that the insurance company covered that was actually kept in the room there and had all the same functions as a hospital bed would. I don't know exactly how they got that for us, and we had to learn to do treatment whenever we could as far as taking care of him. And so I went from having basically a late childhood and early teenage years of what would be normal for, I guess, a lot of people to, that was what the days were like. My parents and I, because I was the closest brother, we had, I had two younger sisters, but they just, some things you can't expect them to go in there and handle and do, especially when you're dealing with your brother, because he had to use a bedpan especially during the time at the very end in the last 2 years where he was mostly bedridden and wasn't even able to get up and use the power wheelchair anymore. So that was what life was like. And as I watched all this happen and I watched this decline happen with my brother, I began to realize so many things that he hoped and dreamed to do, like things that we take for granted, being able to learn how to drive a car, go on dates with girls that he thought were attractive, be involved in life, engage in art, engage in a career, carve out something in this world or do anything meaningful, for the most part, was going to be denied to him. And when you have a conversation with somebody like that who's more and more aware of their impending death coming, that it's going to end for them and quite possibly very soon, it really begins to change your perspective on everything. And I have to say that that is something that I have never shaken. It really stuck with me when I was younger. I really began to, just realize what a blessing I have just to be able to get up in the morning, turn and put my feet on the floor beside the bed and go out and even attempt to do anything. Even if I fail, be able to get back up and still keep trying. I have those opportunities, and some people would give anything to have those opportunities, to even just try. And we become very, very sort of, blind to the fact that we have those opportunities available to us, and we don't appreciate them. We don't appreciate that. Like when I get up and I get to run my own business, do my own thing, do I do independent filmmaking on the side and work with that, and I've done that for years. I played lots of different roles and done all of that, but I'm very aware that there are many people, not just like people like my brother who's passed, but many people around the world, or even here in America, that would give anything to have some of these opportunities right at their fingertips. They would give anything to have it, and if you've got those things, you absolutely need to be grateful. You absolutely, if not just for yourself, in appreciation of the fact that there are other people that don't have that, you really should be diving in. Because some people would give anything to have the chances that some of us have. And when he ultimately passed away, and I had a number of other deaths around that time, one of which was my dad's only brother, my uncle, who he and my brother and I would often go fishing together when we were younger, before my brother had gotten sick. That same uncle ended up, just irony of ironies, ended up passing away on the same day of a heart attack, but he was young. It totally caught everybody by surprise, and we ended up having a double funeral at that point when I was a kid. So I guess when you begin to realize just how fragile life is, how limited our chances are, and when we do have those chances, we have to learn how to appreciate that. You begin to realize that you don't want to waste time on things that don't matter to you. And not to be preachy about it, like a job that doesn't matter to you, just go ahead and get rid of it. I've said this in other videos, and I'll continue to say it. If you hate where you work and you hate the situation that you are in, prepare an escape plan. There's absolutely no reason for you to spend years and years of your life hating what you do, hating getting up every morning, dreading everything. You have one life here. Why wouldn't you carve it out into something that is actually meaningful, beneficial, and doesn't feel like it is poisonous and toxic to your life? Why wouldn't you do that? And when I say develop an escape plan, I'm talking about look for other jobs. You're still at the place that you're at. You're still working. You're still doing whatever you can. Look for other jobs. Don't wait for them to decide one day, we're tired of you, we're going to cut you loose, and now you have no recourse. Now you're in an even worse place. First you hated your job. Now you got nothing, and you got no money, and you got no side plan that you've been developing. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? There's absolutely no reason to do it, and I've had people say to me, well, what if you try and you fail? Well, I guarantee you'll fail if you don't try. That's one guarantee that's fairly obvious. You won't make it if you don't try. And when it comes to not wasting time, I've talked about this in some of the other videos, but I'll bring it up again too. Bad relationships and situations that aren't going to work out. Now, a lot of people will say, how can you possibly look into the future and know what's not going to work out? There's some really clear signs. When it comes to personal relationships, such as dating or romantic entanglements that you might get yourself into, only deal with people that are willing to be straightforward, honest, and tell you the truth. I mean, like, consider here, I'm talking to you guys, you're giving me feedback in the comments. Can you have an honest conversation along these lines with a person that you're going to be romantically involved with or date? If you can't have a point-blank honest conversation, how are you going to have a future? Just be honest. If you can't have that, how can you have a future? When it comes to friendships, if you can't have point-blank honest conversations and realize that there are certain things that you should not bond over, excessive alcohol and chemical abuse, mistreating people, bringing out literally the worst angels of your, you need to be bringing out the better angels of your nature, not the worst angels of your nature, not the things that are going to actually destroy your life or habits that are going to just rip your life to pieces. And if your friendships are based around those habits, you're just going to be destroying your life, and you have to be honest with yourself. You're wasting your time with those things. I myself have been through that. It's still a learning curve for me. Nobody's completely arrived. Nobody's all the way there, but you are learning through that, hopefully, to not make that same mistake again. Some of you obviously know about I've made the video that's unfortunately kind of made me a little bit YouTube famous about what I went through during the divorce with my first marriage. Well, I guess the only real point you can come away from that is what did I learn from that? Yeah, it was a bad experience, but what did I learn from that? Did that help me avoid people that have similar characteristics and traits that go around doing this stuff to people all over the place in their life? They just leave a trail of collateral damage. Did I learn anything from that to prevent that from happening again? And for those of you that are listening to this video, you should really be questioning, am I wasting time with certain individuals in my life that are just never going to really line up and be a good part of my life? Their whole aim is to try and drag you down to where you're going to be like them. And if you don't want to waste that kind of time, if you want to carve out something different and something better, you have to just be aware, because when I say death doesn't wait, how many people have we been hearing about in the news lately that, suddenly, poof, they're gone? Some of them are younger people. Some people like the situation with my brother, even though that was a bit, we knew it was coming to a certain degree. We just didn't know the exact day, but we knew it was coming. But for many people, we don't know that it's coming. We don't know that tomorrow might be the last day that you open your eyes. And then from then, that's it. You're not here anymore. So you have to figure out what type of life you're going to carve out for yourself. If it's going to be one that's damaging to you and damaging to everybody around you, if it's going to be one where you rose to the challenge and you took the chances. And I guarantee to you that when you do reach that final moment where you're going to be done with this life, and I won't even go into what I believe, like as far as what happens when we die, but you don't want to be at that last moment and realize that you never took any chance to try and get away from things that you despised. I mean, I don't know of anybody that dreams of working in a cubicle for 10, 15, 20 years, working in an office for 10, 15, 20 years, getting out of there just to find out that they're dying of cancer the next year. I don't know of anybody that dreams of having their life basically siphoned off and stripped away. I don't know of anybody that dreams of that. So if you want to take the chance on all that, you just have to really, really push forward and do that, and just tell yourself to accept the hard work of doing it, because it's really not that hard. You're going to have a drive and a passion behind it, and your heart's going to be in it far more than just the bare minimal existence. And it's certainly not worth it in the face of our mortality. It's just not worth it. So as far as anything else, I'm actually just now thinking back on all the different people that I've known through the years where they passed away young, and there's actually quite a few. And especially as you get into your 40s and you begin to realize, oh wow, a lot of people never made it this far. They made it into their late teens, 20s, or maybe 30s, and then they were gone. You wake up one morning and you see a post online somewhere from somebody saying, oh yeah, this person passed away last night or whatever, and like, oh my gosh, another one's gone. You have to really, really just take in stock and consider what it is you're doing. Take in stock, really assess what it is you're doing. If you hate it, there's no point in wasting your time doing it. Plan an escape. And it sounds like you're trying to plan an escape from a prison, but in fact you are. You are. You're planning a prison escape. So that's pretty much it for today, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope that this little bit of information, everything I've talked about here, is something that is inspiring and maybe even insightful. I'd love to hear your experiences too, of course, in the comments. I want lots of feedback on what did you go through? What inspired you, or what steps are you taking? We can build each other up here and make a really amazing community out of this sort of thing and turn it into something incredible and positive. If that's what people want to do, anyone can do that, and we can do that. So I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.